For a relatively small country, Norway is certainly at the crossroads of many global hot topics, and the Prime Minister has to navigate issues such as growing tensions with Russia, Britain's decision to leave the European Union, the refugee crisis, and even the worldwide craze for Pokemon Go. Well, I'm delighted to be joined by the Norwegian Prime Minister Erna Solberg on the global conversation at the Council of Europe for the World Forum for Democracy in Strasbourg, France.
Happy to be here.
You share a short border with Russia. You recently agreed to have US troops stationed in your country. And that seems to have sparked a certain amount of displeasure in Moscow.
No, I'm not worried about that. We have a good relationship with Russia on a lot of issues. It's part of what we need to make sure that our allied countries are coming to our country to learn how to do warfare in a winter situation and to work with our different troops.
But Russia doesn't like the fact that there are these troop build-ups on its border in Nordic countries, but also in Eastern Europe. Do you think there's a certain amount of provocation there?
We don't feel that there's a tension on the same level in the north as we have seen in the Baltic Sea, for example. But we try to do, we are firm on the fact that when Russia have been breaking the international law, situation in Ukraine, we are supporting the Ukrainian people, but at the same time we are trying to say, in the northern part we are trying to have a good, open relationship with the Russians.
Okay, well, you've built a fence between yourself and Russia. It's one of the many fences that seem to be going up these days. That's to curb immigration, and it's been deemed to be successful in some circles because immigration has been cut by 95%.
We had good talks with Russia on the diplomatic basis. I think they knew that this is a security area for them. They have 3 fences before anyone would reach the Norwegian border on the Russian side. So I think they felt that this was not, that to curb migrants from using this area was important for them too.
Is it sensible to be building these barriers to stop people coming in who are in desperate need?
We are one of those countries that are resettling the most refugees. 3,100 people are we taking out of by the UNHCR quotas to come to Norway. We have done this for a stable, long period. So we are, even if we have a low number this year and a large number last year, we are doing an international, we are in fact participating a lot into this humanitarian crisis.
And high levels of education are obviously associated to greater tolerance of diversity and pluralism. So what are you doing to educate Norwegians to be more welcoming to refugees? Because we often ask refugees to integrate, but we also have to have populations who welcome them.
It's part of our normal educational system that you're discussing why people are fleeing from some countries, what is the convention, what is the responsibilities we have. It's all part of the school curriculum in Norway. But I think there is also a clear view that if you move and get refuge, you in fact have to live a bit by the Norwegian standards, meaning that you can't come and think that you live in your home country when it comes to women's rights. Not to be puzzled if you see 2 men kiss at the street, because there are gay people in our countries, and it's normal, it's part of our system.
Ironically, it was your integration minister who created a bit of a furore because she stated that new arrivals should be very clear on the fact that people around them will be eating pork and drinking alcohol. And it just struck me that at ministerial level, that seemed kind of a simplistic approach to what is an extremely complex issue.
I don't think it's a complex issue that if you are to come to our country and you have to work to sustain your own living, you can't say no to jobs like working in a restaurant where they will serve pork or alcohol. I think you can't expect that the Norwegian society will pay you benefits if you're denying to work because of religious reasons.
Must it not?
There's too low numbers of migrant women who are working in Norway. We know that some of the reasons is that they have a lot of children, that's work in itself. But sometimes it's also because they put some demands that makes it more difficult for them to get a job. And sometimes it's because their husbands don't like to see them get too involved in the Norwegian society, because then they get a taste of the freedom of women in our societies. So it's there's also some type of patriarchy in this.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, anti-immigration sentiment was what fueled in part in Britain the vote to leave the European Union, the Brexit vote. Now, as Britain goes forward in this, and it's obviously quite entangled in what's going on at the moment, they do look to the Norwegian model. You don't think that's necessarily going to be the right model for Britain? Is that correct?
So much of the discussion on Brexit was about the four freedoms. I said I don't think they will like it if they have the Norwegian type of model. I think it's very good for us. It gives us an economic connection that gives us the possibility both to sell our products and our services, but it had also, in fact, I think in Norway, the migration to Norway for some years from other countries have been quite welcome, because we needed the manpower.
Do you fear it's going to have a knock-on effect and other countries might leave?
Well, I thought it might give even a bigger spur than it has. And I think one of the reasons why is that now everybody's a bit anxious what will happen afterwards. And maybe the insecurity of what have happened in Britain is calming down a lot of those who think it's easy to leave.
We often hear to get in a position like yours, Prime Minister, you have to work twice as hard as your male counterparts and really fight for your position. Has that been your experience?
I'm not the first female Prime Minister of my country, I'm the second. And I often say that I'm happy that I'm the second. That means that somebody did do the work before. In Norway, people are accustomed to women being leaders in politics and a lot of other areas. It also gives me I think, bigger freedom of being myself and not being half man than maybe the first women who became prime ministers in countries who really had to adapt to that type of standard.
One of your ways of relaxation, and it's quite well publicised, is Pokemon Go. And I want to know, what's got you hooked? Why do you enjoy it?
Oh, it just started in my holidays and it was when it got crazy and everybody else was playing it. Every Pokestop, is usually a building or a sculpture or something, so you can see the cities you are in a new way, because you will see the small things on the side of a wall. You will see art in a new way. You will see, you experience a little bit different. So I just think it's funny that people don't understand that politicians do relax in the same way as other people do.
Prime Minister, many thanks for having been with me on The Global Conversation.